Today we focus on the state of the economy, more specifically the revised budget 2023-2024, which is President William Ruto's budget, and also the budget estimates for the next financial year, that is 2024-2025, which in fact Treasury Cabinet Secretary Professor Njuguna Ndung'u will next week on Thursday table or read the budget in the National Assembly. That is next week on Thursday, of course, live updates right here on K24 TV. Now, what's contained in this supplementary budget 2, which informs the revised budget of the year 2023-2024, which is President William Ruto's first budget, that is his maiden budget. There is a slash of revenue targets by 250 billion Kenya shillings. This has now informed the National Treasury to borrow more domestically by up to 589 billion Kenya shillings compared to 319 billion Kenya shillings externally. This basically means perhaps it will be hard for a Kenyan MSMEs to access credits or loans in these particular banks. Reason being, of course, government will be the most preferred client in this case because of several reasons, of course, just compared to Kenyans. Hence, it will make it difficult to access credit, be it for business or for personal use. That's what it means by borrowing more domestically compared to externally. Now, the fiscal deficit will hit a record high of 908 billion Kenya shillings, in which actually there is also an increased recurrent expenditure by 51 billion Kenya shillings. Now, concerns are here over the slash of the development budget by 75 billion Kenya shillings, a whopping 75 billion Kenya shillings. Yet, on the other hand, they're increasing the recurrent expenditure by 51 billion Kenya shillings. Also, the report did not provide any monies to settle pending bills. That means in case you actually, the government has your debt, it's not a time to be paid. That has not been factored in the supplementary budget too. Now, for the 2024-2025 financial year budget estimates, the budget will stand at 3.9 trillion Kenya shillings, even as KRA aims to collect 2.9 trillion Kenya shillings. Remember, in this current fiscal year, they have cut down the targets by 250 billion. And questions are there. Is it even possible, in the first place, to attain 2.9 trillion Kenya shillings? Is it an overambitious target for the revenue collection body KRA at a time that, of course, they're decrying even themselves being financed adequately? Also, we'll be taking a look at sectors that have gained and those that have not gained in the budget allocations. For instance, the Office of the President has been increased its budget by a whopping 1 billion Kenya shillings. Deputy President Rigathi Gachagwa's office will get an additional 97 million Kenya shillings, whereas education sector has a cut of 30 billion, agriculture sector 14 billion, transport and logistics 39 billion, energy, petroleum and mining sector 22.7 billion. Where do you think our priorities are? Talk to me via social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Church, as well on our SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens, or to be on the bottom of your screens. Of course, I'll be sampling some of your feedback before wrapping up New Dawn this morning. I'll be having key guests in studio, that is Honorable Amos Mwago. He is the Sarehe Member of Parliament. He'll be joining us here. Also a member of the Trade Committee, Honorable David Kiplagat, who is the Soy Member of Parliament, also sits in the Agriculture Committee in the National Assembly, and as well Honorable Beatrice Zelachi, who is the Dagoretti North Member of Parliament. They will be giving their views, but also you can join in this conversation, and I'll be sampling some of your feedback before wrapping up New Dawn this morning. Let's take a look at what's making headlines on our dailies, beginning with the People Daily, which is Kenya's #1 free newspaper. Splashes this morning, of course, of Raila's dream team. Former Prime Minister assembled a galaxy of retired diplomats and scholars to work alongside foreign ministry officials in campaigning for African Union post ahead of February elections. This story is actually on page 4, and the images are there. Just to peruse it, that is on page 4 to see the dream team of the former premier, that is Raila Odinga, Actually, he has stepped up his bid for the African Union Commission chairmanship by setting up a secretariat to spearhead his candidacy. People Daily has established that the former premier has picked, among others, a former long-serving Kenyan ambassador to the U.S., Elkanah Odembo, and U.S.-based law professor Makau Mutua to help him clinch the job in the February 2025 polls. At a press briefing in Nairobi yesterday with Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, Odinga said he was ready to battle it out with his opponents in the race for the coveted seats. Odinga has already received endorsement, and of course his team includes that is the former Nyeri Deputy Governor Caroline Karugu and former Ambassador Anthony Okara, and as well that is Mahabub Maalim, who will lead alongside the government's appointed lieutenants from the Ministry of Foreign and Diaspora Affairs to push his the February polls, or his planned agenda for the Africa ahead of the February polls. According to Odinga, or actually the level of preparations, while appreciating the offer of support, the opposition leader added that he had shared with the government team the situation of his level of preparation from outside the government, adding that with committed and proper coordination between his team and the government, they should be able to clinch the seat. Now, it's a matter of wait and see how that will actually progress. Back to our cover page, that is People Daily. Also highlights on the senior NIS officer who, that's on top side of the paper. Senior NIS, that is the National Intelligence Service officer, dies in suicide wave. The spy shot himself inside his city home, bringing to 15 the number of people who have taken away their lives in the same manner this month alone. A sad situation there being highlighted by the People Daily. Also, on the cover page, how Kenyans were fed on poisonous sugar. Curiosity on this. Page 6 of the People Daily. Let's just see what, of course, it's talking about. How Kenyans were fed on poisonous sugar. Where Kenyans consumed poisonous sugar following the disappearance of 20,000 bags from a warehouse in Thika. That's according to our parliamentary committee. That is actually the trade committee of the National Assembly, in which the report that has been tabled now in the National Assembly, MP who sits in the Departmental Committee on Trade, Industry and Cooperatives said that there was no proof of final distillation of sugar that was released to Vine Park Limited in Makongeni, that is in Thika, which was converted, or was to be actually, which was to convert the condemned sugar into ethanol. We have the member of the Trade Committee, that is Honorable Amos Mwago. He'll be shedding light on this, on how exactly, or actually what transpired as far as the fake sugar is concerned. 20,000 bags is the sugar that was meant to be converted into ethanol. But so far the committee has figured out that that did not happen, or perhaps it could or did not take place. Hence, Kenyans consumed that. We shift gears now to the Daily Nation this morning, which splashes of Raila, I'm not anyone's project. Raila, I'm not anyone's project. AUC bid. It is now all systems go after the AUC, actually, after the government yesterday officially unveiled the roadmap for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and Kenya's candidacy in the forthcoming election in the next, of the next chairperson of the African Union Commission. At a joint press briefing with Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, the opposition leader said he was ready for the continental task ahead. That is on the Daily Nation. On the Standard newspaper, also similar to what we've seen on the People Daily and as well the Daily Nation, Ruto takes over Raila's AU job bid. President William Ruto and Raila Odinga are leaving nothing to chance in the quest for the African Union Commission chairmanship, with government taking charge even as the opposition chief discloses they have agreed to cut bureaucracy and unveil a whale-oiled joint drive. We'll be seeing how that will actually progress. But even as you grab your copy this morning, of course, of what is on the dailies, especially the People Daily, that's what will make or is making headlines this morning. But let's focus still on this particular one that is also on our dailies, where opposition leader Raila Odinga has welcomed the government support for his AUC bid. Speaking during a joint press briefing with the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, Odinga said the move by the government has taken to set up a secretariat will help his bid for the top seat. The secretariat will, among other duties, develop a campaign strategy for the former Prime Minister and prepare him for a public debate ahead of the elections next year. Brian Amoy reports.
For the AUC candidate draws to a close. The race for the top seat continues to gain momentum. The government of Kenya, stepping up its campaign for former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, has set up a secretariat that will spearhead Odinga's campaign as the government prides itself in the candidature of the opposition leader.
We have a visionary leader to fire up the African Union to greater levels. The Right Honorable Raila is a Pan-Africanist who naturally espouses the Think Africa above all guiding principle of the AU Commission.
That I am vying for a position in Africa, not in the government of the Republic of Kenya. But I need the endorsement of the government of Kenya for that African position.
The established secretariat, which includes Odinga's strategy team, will help in Odinga's campaign by preparing all the briefs for Odinga, developing a campaign material including digital presence, and preparing for a public debate that will be broadcast live to all the African citizens. The team has already started preparing Odinga for his campaign by readying his documents for submission to AU by the end of June.
The campaigns are led by the state with highly experienced and knowledgeable officers. The State Department for Foreign Affairs has established a campaign secretariat which includes the candidate's strategy team. Currently, the team is firming up preparatory and application documents together with requisite translations of the resume into 6 AU languages. That is French, English, Kiswahili, Arabic, Portuguese, and Spanish. This should be ready for submission to the AU Secretariat by the end of June 2024.
Odinga and the government have vowed to work hand in hand to ensure he wins the race.
I have been very encouraged by the number of senior government officials offering to be part of this journey out of an understanding that we are in this as Kenya and not as partisan political parties.
That the strategy is in place and we shall be looking at all the challenges and opportunities as we go along.
Odinga's candidature has, however, been viewed as a way for the government to get him away from the local political scene. The former Prime Minister has said his bid was not decided by the state.
Nobody has asked me. The Kenya government did not ask me. I made a decision myself that I want to offer myself to serve the continent. And as you know, you cannot run for this position without being sponsored by your country. Your candidature is not valid until your country has said yes. So I was myself pleasantly surprised that the Kenya government said they would support me. I was expecting them to say no. I don't know the reason why they said yes.
We said yes because Raila is competent. Yes. And we are looking at Kenya's national interests and Africa's national interests.
The former Prime Minister believes he fits the bill as he promises to push for a more united African continent once he clinches the seat, decrying non-tariff barriers that have stood in between nations' integration with each other and promoting trade. Odinga faces competition from Fozia Yusuf Adam of Somalia, Mohamud Ali Yusuf of Djibouti, and Vincent Meriton of Seychelles. And as the country sets up a spirited campaign, Odinga will need 2/3 of the 55 eligible votes to replace Musa Faki of Chad, whose term expires by the end of the year. It is a campaign that has gained support from across board, and as the days draw to a close, the government of Kenya is confident that Raila Odinga is qualified enough to be the next AUC chair. Brian Amuai, K24, Nairobi.
Away from that, K24 leaders led by Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi have continued to their onslaught against the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua and his camp in a sustained tug of war within the ruling coalition. Speaking at St. Paul's Cheptaroi Girls in Mosop, Nandi County, the leaders have termed the DP's latest campaign in the Mount Kenya home turf as retrogressive and tribal. As Timothy Seymour reports, they have vowed to rally behind President William Ruto and defeat tribal entities.
It was another day at St. Paul's, the second Cheptaroi Girls in Nandi County, for K24 leaders to offer advice to each other in a sustained war of words that has bred two camps.
Tuwe watu wa kutembea na kushikana, tujue wenzetu, jua jirani yako, jua dada yako kutoka Lungalunga, jua yule anatoka Turukana. Labda ile kabila unasihi ama unafikiria ndio ile mbaya, unachukia, unachochea, ndio hiyo damu inakuponya na unatoka kwa hospitali ukitembea na wewe bado unasema unaongea kikabila.
In a thinly veiled onslaught, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi led a host of other leaders to fault national leaders, drumming calls of ethnic unity at the expense of national unity.
Wakati rais anatuinua kwa heshima kama kitaifa katika ulimwengu, wewe unamvuta longi kule nyuma.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's latest efforts to galvanize Mount Kenya's support remained the sticking point of the gathering, with choruses of ending tribalism.
Kule kwangu huko tunapakana na Governor Barasa na natembea huko akitembea huko juu ngine huko mahali ngine ni ule, lakini saa zingine tuna share resources kwa sababu we are a family. So naomba hivi kama wa Kenya tunaimisa wageni especially viongozi wakae pamoja.
Na wakati viongozi mnapigiwa kura kwa minajili ya capacity yenyu kubadilisha nchi ya Kenya, itakuwa ni makosa wakati wewe unaingia kiti unaanza kuretreat to the tribal cocoon.
Musalia says President Ruto is not only a national leader but also an international one who should not be dragged into ethnic conversations. Other leaders led by National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah, while implicitly targeting Deputy President, says they will not be forced into supporting anyone in the name of Mount Kenya unity.
Kwa hivyo usijaribu kushurutisha watu ati lazima mfuate hii barabara na munifuate mimi ndiye kiongozi. Wewe unatuongoza utuongoze kwenda wapi? Tuko na kiongozi anaitwa Rais William Ruto, rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, ambaye tunamuenzi, tunamheshimu sababu he has earned his respect.
Tushikane na tupendane na tutoe ukabila katika hii nchi. Na hiyo ndio imetufanya leo hii tufike viongozi kutoka Laikipia, viongozi kutoka Mandera, viongozi kutoka kule Coast Province, viongozi kutoka kule Kiambu County, ili tuwaonyeshe hakuna mipaka ya ukabila katika hii nchi.
Si unaona Kenya ni moja? Sisi zote tuko pamoja. Kwa hivyo tuungane pamoja kujenga nchi yetu. Hakuna mrengo wa kabila hii wala hile, eneo hili wala lile. Sisi wote ni Kenya moja na mpaka tuwe na muungano wa Kenya moja, ushirikiano, ushikamano.
Most of the speakers feel DP's efforts plays into tribalism, which will only work to divide the nation along ethnic lines.
Na mimi nashukuru hao wabunge kwa sababu wamesema mambo ya ukabila. Hao wamekuja Mosop kubenchmark, kufanya kazi kutoka constituency nyingine mpaka nyingine. Na sisi tumewauliza unity ya nchi ni muhimu sana kuliko mtu binafsi.
Hatuna hata maji. Welcome.
Timothy Seymour, K24 TV.
Meanwhile, a looming showdown between leaders from Muguka growing areas of Embu and coastal leaders is bringing over the ban of the substance. Leaders from both ends are holding tough stands and are calling on President William Ruto to intervene and settle the conflict. Boniface Msangi reports from Mombasa County.
The battle over the Muguka menace has taken a different route as leaders from Embu County, led by Embu Governor Cecil Mbarire, condemned the move by coastal leaders of refusing to meet with Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture Mithika Linturi tomorrow.
Hatutakubali mtu aharibu biashara yetu ya Muguka. Tunasema tutapigania Muguka yetu kwa sababu tunajua Muguka sio mbaya.
Sikupigiwa kura na watu wa Mombasa, kazi yangu iwe ni kuwa ni kama showcase. Nilipigiwa kura niweze kuwahudumikia hawa watu. Nikawaambia safari hii ndio mtajua hamujui. Hakuna Muguka kuingia katika county ya Mombasa, period.
Come to Mansoni, God willing, I'm addressing that matter tomorrow.
Speaking while meeting Muguka traders at Mararu Market in Bere South, Mbarire said they are ready to meet with the president again with coastal leaders and find solution over the issue, insisting that Muguka is a variant of Miraa with no health issues, while calling on Mombasa governor to respect court orders.
Na mimi nataka kuuliza Governor Nasir, tafadhali wacha kupiga watu wetu wakikuja huko. There is a court order. Tulipatiwa court order last week ambayo imetupatia mwezi mmoja ndio tuwe tumeongea kule kotini na the status quo must remain.
Attorney General Justin Muturi, while speaking during a sensitization workshop for the 4th medium plan at the Kenya School of Government Embu, has called off critics demonizing Muguka, saying that criticism should only be backed with scientific proof. However, he claimed that the matter has not yet reached his office for legal advice.
Maybe let's not try to demonize. Let's not try to demonize before we have the full facts, particularly scientific facts on certain issues.
This comes as Kwale County Governor Fatuma Chani pending her signature on the Finance Bill 2024-2025, which has increased Muguka cess levy fee, offloading charges at the market increased from 6,000 shilling to 20,000 shilling, while license increased from 6,000 shilling to 50,000 shilling.
Eza kuweka viegezo ambavyo hata mtu akiweza kuvidhibiti itakuwa ni kama impossible, kwa sababu kwa mfano ukiingiza lori lolote la Muguka ndani ya Kwale lazima ulipe 300,000. Ya pili, wakati unashukisha kila box tumeeka, kwa sababu zamani walikuwa wakishukisha zile box walikuwa wanalipa 6,000 na sahihi tumeipandiza kutoka 6,000 mpaka 20,000.
Wa viongozi wote wa kaunti za Pwani ni mmoja, na watu sasa wameenda si chama tena. Wajua mwanzo tulikuwa tuangalie ile swala litachukua mtazamo wa vyama, si vyama tena.
Mashirika, maimamu, misikiti tofauti na viongozi wengineo ambao kwamba wamejitolea, tuwapa hongera nyingi na wasirudi nyuma katika jambo hili.
Boniface Msangi, K24, Mombasa.
On to other news, the government has once again vowed to remove all those living in riparian land, water sources and national forest without delay. This was announced on Wednesday by Environment CS Soipan Tuya during the celebration of World Environment Day national event held in Embu County. This comes as a Brookside Dairy Company marked the day in Dry with tree planting and cleaning of the Nairobi River. Dan Kaburu with more details.
Kenya could experience drought and increased temperatures after a flooding season that was witnessed in the country a month ago. This was revealed today during the World Environment Day celebrations held at Embu University in Embu County. According to Environment CS Soipan Tuya, an environmentalist, the destruction of environment has led to rising temperatures and the climate changes being witnessed.
We cannot have our efforts negated by allowing the continued destruction of the little that's left of our forests and protected areas.
Additionally, Tuya warned those living in forest areas and along rivers that the government will not hesitate to remove them.
But before we get to forceful movement of people, anyone who is in an illegal space, which is a riparian area, our protected areas, we want to continue encouraging Kenyans. please move away, because you are becoming part of the cause of the deaths that we are getting through the climate change adversities.
Sustainability. In related event, Brookside Dairy Company today pitched tent at Ruai for tree planting and Nairobi River cleanup in celebration of the World Environment Day.
Due to the floods that happened, all the dirt from Nairobi River was swept downstream. And that is why we've selected to come this side to partner with NEMA, Nairobi River Commission, as a demonstration that we are committed to nature, biodiversity, and ecosystem.
Brookside stated that it is committed to educating its farmers on how to conserve the environment, particularly by using biogas energy.
We are working together with farmers, doing training and awareness, and also supporting them in putting up biogas systems in their farms.
Globally renowned environmentalist Elizabeth Wathuti led Njiru Secondary School students in marking the day by planting thousands of tree and fruit seedlings at the school's compound in Njiru.
So we are saying we are generation restoration, and we are creating a young generation that actually cares about our environment and about our planet. And we have planted over 2,000 trees. And this number is a mix of bamboo, indigenous trees, and fruit trees. And the place we've planted is actually this bare ground. It's next to the riparian Nairobi River. And this is an indication that we can actually create green spaces within our institutions.
As the world continues to heat up due to the rising temperatures, tree planting and nurturing has been identified as a good way of cooling the planet. Dan Kaburu, K24, Nairobi.
Well, and as promised, being the 6th of June 2024, today we focus on the state of the economy, more specifically the revised 2024-2025 budget, that is through the supplementary budget 2, and as well the budget estimates for the financial year 2024-2025, which also informs why we have the current conversation on the Finance Bill 2024. Already, my guests are in studio. That is Honorable Amos Mwago. He is the Starehe Member of Parliament, as well a member of the Trade Committee in the National Assembly, and Honorable David Kiplagat, who is the Soy Member of Parliament and a member of the Agriculture Committee in the National Assembly. Honorable Beatrice Elachi, the Great North Member of Parliament, will be joining us in just but a few. But, of course, you can join this conversation by social media platforms. That is at K24 TV, at Joel Church, as well as SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of your screens. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.